I am Pathan Muhammad Hussain and today we are going to study the very first lesson from 12th standard English textbook Vistas. The title of the lesson is On the Face of It, written by Susan Hill, who is an English novelist, children's writer and playwright. Before reading this lesson, let me give you the brief introduction about this lesson. This is a one-act play having 3 scenes. It features only 2 characters, an old man and a 14-year-old boy. Both of them suffer from physical impairment. The old man has a thin leg because he got one of his legs blown off in the war. The young boy, Derry, has one side of his face disfigured and burned by acid. It is the boy, Derry, who comes to the old man's garden. He is quiet and shy and bit defiant as well. It is the old man who strikes up friendship with the boy and inspire him to make his life meaningful in spite of the handicap he suffers. The play also depicts the disappointment and loneliness of a physically impaired person. The sense of alienation is more inconvenient than physical disability. It is a play featuring an old man and small boy meeting in farmer's garden. Both suffer from physical impairment. But Mr. Lamb, the old man, takes life as it comes to him, while the young boy Derry is very withdrawn and defiant. The meeting turned out to be a boon for Derry. Mr. Lamb is able to give him hope and the ability to see the bright side of his life. So the entire lesson is revolving around the 2 main characters, Mr. Lamb and Derry. Mr. Lamb is an old cripple who enjoys life despite his handicap, whereas Derry, he is a 14-year-old boy with one side of his face disfigured in an accident. So let us see On the Face of It. This is a play featuring an old man and a small boy meeting in the farmer's garden. The old man strike up means begins a friendship with the boy who is very withdrawn. Withdrawn means extremely shy, and defiant. Defiant means refusing to obey. What is the bond that unites the two? Let's see. Scene 1. Mr. Lamb's garden. There is the occasional sound of bird song and of tree leaves rustling. Rustling means making a low sound. Derry's footsteps are heard as he walks slowly and tentatively. Tentatively means hesitatingly. Tentatively through the long grass. He pauses, then walks on again. He comes round a screen of bushes, so that when Mr. Lamb speaks to him, he is close at hand and Derry is startled. So let me explain you briefly. The first scene is located in Mr. Lamb's garden. There is an occasional sound of bird song and of tree leaves rustling. Derry's footsteps are heard as he walks slowly and hesitantly through the long grass. He comes round a screen of bushes. When Mr. Lamb speaks to Derry, he is close at hand. Naturally, Derry is startled. Now let us begin from the place where we stop. Mr. Lamb. Mind the apples. Derry. What? Who is that? Who is there? Mr. Lamb. Lamb is my name. Mind the apples. Crab apples those are. Wind falls in the long grass. You could trip. Here crab apple means a small wild apple with a sharp pungent taste. And windfall means fruits blown down from a tree. That is called windfall. And trip means to fall. Derry. I thought this was an empty place. I didn't know there was anybody here. He got scared. It means he was very much scared. Let me explain you. Mr. Lamb asked Derry to mind the apples. Derry inquired about the person. Mr. Lamb gave his name and again asked him to mind the apples. He adds that those are crab apples. They have been blown down from the tree by the wind and are lying in the long grass. The boy could step on one of them and fall. Derry tried to explain. He says that he thought that was an empty place. He didn't know there was anybody there. Mr. Lamb asked him not to be afraid. He explained that the house is empty. Since he is out in the garden, he observed that such beautiful day is not worth spending indoors. Now let's start reading. Mr. Lamb, that's all right. I'm here. What are you afraid of, boy? That's all right. Derry, I thought it was empty, an empty house. Mr. Lamb, so it is. Since I am out here in the garden, it is empty until I go back inside. In the meantime, I am out here and likely to stop. A day like this, a beautiful day, not a day to be indoors, which I have already explained you. Derry, panic. I have got to go. Mr. Lamb, not on my account, not because of me. It means I don't mind who comes into the garden. The gate's always open. Only you climb the garden wall. Derry, angry. You're watching me? Mr. Lamb, I saw you, but the gate's open. All welcome. You are welcome. I sit here. I like sitting. Derry, I hadn't come to steal anything. Mr. Lamb, no. The young lads steal scrum. Scrum means steal fruits from garden. That is the meaning of scrums. Scrum the apples. You are not so young. Derry, I just wanted to come into the garden. Mr. Lamb, so you did. Here we are. Then Derry, you don't know who I am. Mr. Lamb, a boy, 13 or so. Derry, 14. Pause. But I have got to go now. Goodbye. Mr. Lamb, nothing to be afraid of. Just a garden, just me. Derry, but I'm not afraid. People are afraid of me. Mr. Lamb, why should that be? Derry, everyone is. It doesn't matter who they are or what they say or how they look, how they pretend. I know I can see. Mr. Lamb, see what? Derry, what they think. Mr. Lamb, what do they think then? Derry, you think? Here is a boy. You look at me and then you see my face and you think that's a terrible thing. That's the ugliest thing I ever saw. You think, poor boy, but I am not poor. Underneath you are afraid. Anybody would be, I am. When I look in the mirror and see it, I am afraid of me. Mr. Lamb, no, not the whole of you, not of you. Derry, yes. Pause. Mr. Lamb, later on, when it is a bit cooler, I will get the ladder and a stick and pull down those crab apples. They are ripe for it. I make jelly. Jelly means a sweet made from tree. From fruit. I make jelly. It's a good time of year, September. Look at them, orange, golden. That's magic fruits, I often say. But it is best picked and made into jelly. You could give me a hand. Give me a hand means to help. Now let me explain you briefly. Derry panics and says that he has got to go. Mr. Lamb assured him that he should not feel disturbed on his account. He doesn't mind who comes into the garden. The gate is always open. It was only the boy who climbed the garden wall. Derry is angry that the old man had been watching him. Mr. Lamb welcomes Derry. Derry explained that he had not come to steal anything. Mr. Lamb assured him that he hadn't. He further adds that only the young lads steal. They steal apple from the garden. He is not that young. Derry explained that he just wanted to come into the garden. He wants to go and says goodbye. Mr. Lambs tell him that there is nothing to be afraid of it. It is just a garden and only one person, that is himself, is there. Derry then says that people are afraid of him. He asks Mr. Lamb to look at him, and after seeing his face, he might think that he is the most frightful and ugliest thing. Derry says that when he looks in the mirror and sees his face, he is afraid of it. Mr. Lamb says that the whole of his face is not frightening. There is a pause. Mr. Lamb now changes the topic. He says when it is a bit cooler, he will get the ladder and stick and pull down those crab apples. They are ripe from making jelly. September is the right time of year for it. The apples look orange and golden. He tells Derry that he could help him. Now, Derry, what have you changed the subject for? People always do that. Why don't you ask me? Why do you do what they all do and pretend it isn't true and isn't there? In case I see you looking and mind and get upset, I will tell. You don't ask me because you are afraid too. Mr. Lamb, you want me to ask? Say so. Then, Derry, I don't like being with people, any people. Mr. Lamb, I should say to look at it. I should say, you got burned in a fire? Derry, not in a fire. I got acid all down that side of my face and it burned it all away. It ate my face up and it ate me up, and now it's like this and it won't ever be any different. Mr. Lamb, no. Derry, aren't you interested? Mr. Lamb, you are a boy who came into the garden. Plenty do. I am interested in anybody, anything. There is nothing God made that doesn't interest me. Look over there, over beside the far wall. What can you see? Derry, rubbish. Mr. Lamb, rubbish? Look, boy, look. What do you see? Derry, just grass and stuff. Stuff means worthless things. Grass and stuff, weeds. Mr. Lamb, some call them weeds if you like. Then a wheat garden, that's a fruit, and there are flowers and trees and herbs, all sorts. Sort means types. But over there weeds. I grow weeds there. Why is one green growing plant called a weed, another flower? Where is the difference? It's all life growing, same as you and me. Derry, we are not the same. Mr. Lamb, I am old, you are young. You have got a bun face, I have got a tin leg. Tin leg means a silver, a white metal. Not important. You are standing there, I am sitting here. Where is the difference? Derry, why have you got a tin leg? Mr. Lamb, real one got blown off years back. Blown off means separated by blow. Years back, lammy lamb. Some kids say, haven't you heard them? You will. Lammy lamb. Lammy means cripple in leg. It fits, doesn't trouble me. Derry, but you can put on trouser and cover it up and no one sees. They don't have to notice and stare. Mr. Lamb, some do, some don't. They get tired of it in the end. There is plenty of other things to stare at. Derry, like my face. Mr. Lamb, like crab apples, or the weeds, or a spider climbing up silken ladder, or my tall sunflower. Derry, things. Mr. Lamb, it's all relative. Beauty and the beast. Beast means animal. Derry, what's that supposed to mean? Mr. Lamb, you tell me. Derry, you needn't think you haven't all told me that fairy story before. It's not what you look like, it's what you are inside. Handsome is as handsome does. Beauty loves the monstrous beast for himself. When she kisses When she kissed him, he changed into a handsome prince. Only he wouldn't. He would have stay a monstrous beast. I won't change, Mr. Lamb. In that way, no, you won't, Derry. And no one will kiss me ever. Only my mother, and she kisses me on the other side of my face. And I don't like my mother to kiss me. She does it because she has to. Why should I like that? I don't care if nobody ever kiss me, Mr. Lamb. Oh, but do you care if you never kiss them? They what? Mr. Lamb. Girls, pretty girls. Pretty girls, long hair and large eyes, people you love. Derry. Who'd let me? Not one. Mr. Lamb. Who can tell? Derry. I won't ever look different. When I am as old as you, I look the same. I will still only have half a face, Mr. Lamb. So you will, but the world's won't. The world's got a whole face, and the world's there to be looked at, Derry. Do you think this is the world? This whole garden? Mr. Lamb. When I am here, not the only one, but the world as much as anywhere. Derry. Does your leg hurt you? Mr. Lamb. Tin doesn't hurt, boy. Derry. When it came off means become separated. When it came off, did it? Mr. Lamb. Certainly. Derry. And now, I mean, where the tin stopped, Derry said, and now, I mean, where the tin stopped, at the top, Mr. Now and then, in wet weather, it doesn't signify. Signify doesn't matter. That's the meaning of signify here. Derry. Oh, that's something else they all say. Look at all those people who are in pain and brave and never cry and never complain and don't feel sorry for themselves, Mr. Lamb. I haven't said it, Derry. And think of all those people worse off than you. Think you might have been blinded or born deaf or have to live in a wheelchair or be daft in your head and dribble. Daft means foolish, crazy person. And dribble means to let saliva dribble from a mouth. That is the meaning of dribble. Mr. Lamb. And that's all true. And you know it, Derry. It won't make my face change. Do you know? One day a woman went by me in the street. I was at a bus stop and she was with another woman. And she looked at me and she said, whispered, only I heard her. She said, look at that. That's a terrible thing. That spirits only mother could love. Mr. Lamb. Okay. Mr. Lamb. So you believe everything that you hear? Then Derry, it was cruel, Mr. Lamb. Maybe not meant as such, just something said between them, Derry. Only I heard it. I heard, Mr. Lamb. And is that the only thing you ever heard anyone say in your life? Derry. Oh no, I have heard lot of things, Mr. Lamb. So now you keep your ears shut, Derry. You are peculiar. Peculiar means very strange. You say peculiar things. You ask question I don't understand, Mr. Lamb. I like to talk, have company. You don't have to answer questions. You don't have to stop here at all. That's gates open. Yes, but Mr. Lamb, I have a hive of bees. The habitation of bees. That is the meaning of hive of bees. I have a hive of bees behind those trees over there. Some hear bees and they say, bees buzz. But when you listen to bees for a long while, they hum. And hum means sing. I hear them singing, my bees. But I like it here. I came in because I like it. When I look over the wall, Mr. Lamb. If you had seen me, you'd not have come in, Derry. No, Mr. Lamb. No, Derry. It had have been trespassing. Trespassing means intruding. Bina adhikar pravesh karna. That is the meaning of trespassing. Mr. Lamb. Oh, that's not why, Derry. I don't like being near people. When when I see them being afraid of me. Now let me explain you briefly the reading which I have read up till now. Derry asks him what he has changed the subject for. He says that the old man does not ask him because he is afraid to do so. Derry says that he doesn't like being with people. Mr. Lamb makes a guess. Perhaps the boy got burned in a fire. Derry says that he got acid all down that side of his face, and it burnt all away. Derry asks Mr. Lamb if he is not interested. The old man says he is interested in anybody and anything made by God. Even grass, rubbish, weeds, flower, fruit. He observed that it is all life, developing just as they are. When Derry says that they are not the same, Mr. Lamb says that there is no difference. He is old, Derry is young, and has got burnt face. The old man has got thin leg. His real one got blown off year back in the war. Some kids call him Lammy Lamb, but it doesn't disturb him. There are plenty of things other than his legs to stare at. He refers to Beauty and the Beast. Derry says that no one will kiss him, he won't change. Derry says that people talk about a person who are in pain and brave and never cry or complain and don't feel sorry for themselves. People try to console people suffering from physical impairment by asking them to think of all those people worse off than them. They might have been blinded or born deaf or have to live in a wheelchair or be insane and dribble. But all this will not change his face. Even totally strange person call him terrible. Now let us read further. Mr. Lamb, you could lock yourself up in a room and never leave it. There was a man who did that. He was afraid, you see, of everything in this world. A bus might run him over, or a man might breathe deadly jumps onto him, or donkey might kick him to death, or lightning might strike him down, or he might love a girl, the girl would leave him, and he might slip on a banana skin and fall, and people who saw him would laugh their heads off. So he went into this room and locked the door and got into his bed and stayed there. Derry, forever, Mr. Lamb. Derry, forever, Mr. Lamb, for a while. Then what, Mr. Lamb? A picture fell off the wall onto his head and killed him. Derry laughs a lot, Mr. Lamb. You see, Derry, but you still say peculiar things, Mr. Lamb. Peculiar to some. Peculiar means strange. Peculiar. Derry, what do you do all day? Mr. Lamb, sit in the sun, read books. Oh, you thought it was an empty house, but inside is full, books and other things full. Derry, but there aren't any curtains at the window. Mr. Lamb, I'm not fond of curtain, shutting things out and shutting things in. I like the light and the darkness and the windows open to hear the wind. Derry, yes, I like that. When it's raining, I like to hear on the roof, Mr. Lamb. So you are not lost, are you? Not altogether. You do hear things, you listen. Derry, they talk about me downstairs when I'm not there. What he ever do? What is going to happen to him when we have gone? However will he get on in this world looking like that, with that on his face? That's all what they say, Mr. Lamb. Lord, boy, you have got 2 arms, 2 legs and eyes and ears. You have got a tongue and brain. You will get on the way you want like all the rest. And if you chose and set your mind to it, you could get on better than all the rest. Derry, how? Mr. Lamb, same way as I do. Do you have any friends? Hundreds, Mr. Lamb, hundreds. Dairy. But you live by yourself in that house. It's a big house too. Mr. Lamb. Friends everywhere. People come in. Everybody knows me. The gates always open. They come and sit here and in front of the fire in winter. Kids come for the apples and pears and for toffee. I make toffee with honey. Anybody come? So have you. Dairy. But I am not a friend. Mr. Lamb. Certainly you are. So far as I am concerned, what have you done to make me think you are not? Dairy. You don't know me. You don't know where I come from, even what my name is. Mr. Lamb. Why should that signify? Do I have to write all your particulars? Particular means details. Do I have to write all your particulars down and put them in a filing box before you can be a friend? Dairy. I suppose not. No. Mr. Lamb. You could tell me your name if you chose and not if you didn't. Dairy. Dairy. It's only direct, but I hate that. Dairy. If I am your friend, you don't have to be mine. I choose that. Mr. Lamb. Certainly. Dairy. I might never come here again. You might never see me again and then I couldn't still be a friend. Mr. Lamb. Why not? Dairy. How could I? You pass people in the street and you might even speak to them, but you never see them again. It doesn't mean they are friends. Mr. Lamb. Doesn't mean they are enemies either. Does it? Dairy. No, they are just nothing people, that's all. Mr. Lamb. People are never just nothing. Never. Dairy. There are some people I hate. Mr. Lamb. That would do you more harm than any bottle of acid. Acid only burns your face. Dairy. Only? Mr. Like a bomb. Only blew up my leg. That's worst thing can happen. You can burn yourself away inside. Now let me explain you briefly. Dairy repeats that he doesn't like being near people, especially when they stare at him and when he sees them being afraid of him. Mr. Lamb then tells him the story of a man who was afraid of everything in the world. So he locked himself in his room and stayed in his bed. A picture fell off the wall onto his head and killed him. Dairy says that the old man said a peculiar things. Then he asked what he does all day. Mr. Lamb replies that he sits in the sun, he reads books, his house is full of books, his house has no curtain as he does not like shutting things out. He likes the light and the darkness. He hears the winds from the open window. Dairy too hears the sound of rain on the roof when it is raining. Mr. Lamb observes that if he hears things, he is not lost. Dairy says that people talk about him downstairs when he is not there. They seem to be worried about him and his future. Mr. Lamb gives him a very inspiring advice. He will get on the way he wants like all the rest. He has all the God-given organs. He could even get on better than all the rest if he determined to do so. Mr. Lamb tells that he has hundreds of friends. The gate is always open. People come in, kids come for the apples, pears and for toffee. He makes toffee with honey. Sometimes his friendship may be one-sided. Even if Dairy might never sees him again, Mr. Lamb would be still his friend. He tells Dairy that hating other is bad. It harms more than any bottle of acid. Everything is the same, but everything is different. Now rest of the lesson we'll discuss in the next video. Thank you for listening me patiently.